Welcome to Ask the Collective, episode 17.
My name is Rich Brubaker. I'm the founder of Collective Responsibility, and this is Augie. She has been with us for 11 months. It's her last week, so we're letting her this week join us, ask some questions related to Singapore, China, sustainability, and thumb drives. So we hope that you'll enjoy this episode. We certainly did. And if you do, please, and you're from Singapore, like, share, and comment.
Okay.
Augie, you have been the voice of Ask the Collective now for a couple of months. It is her last week with us. Can you just introduce yourself really quickly?
I'm Augustine Lee. I'm from NUS, the National University of Singapore, and I'm in Shanghai for the NUS Overseas College Program. So I've come to Collective to work under Rich so that I can learn from him and understand more about social media and sustainability in China. Yeah.
It's been great having her, and I hope that you enjoy our little banter.
Yay! So what can Singapore learn from China regarding sustainability? When I Google search, right, what can Singapore learn from China, it's always what China can learn from Singapore.
Right.
Yeah. So
because Singapore's done a great branding exercise that it's a sustainable, harmonious, happy little island, right? And you're happy all the time. You're this uber consumer, yet you're totally water efficient. Everything, the infrastructure is all there. But then it's Singapore, right? It's really interesting how like the culture and then like the island itself is in some ways branded to be this really sustainable thing. And I'm not here to say it is or it isn't, but that's where I think like you start to see like everyone says like, oh, we should all learn from Singapore about how to be sustainable, about how to do this. But if you spend any time in the region, you know like Singapore really does struggle with some core issues, like you want to grow to 10 million people as a population. You know, how are you going to do that sustainably? And when I say sustainably, I also mean in the sense of you're going to build all the infrastructure from the water pipes to the metros to the schools to everything to support this baby boom so that in 15, 20 years, you have 10 million people. But then in 30 years, you have another much larger group of elderly people. So you then have to have another round of kind of population boom. So it's actually in its own way, you're creating more problems. So what I was saying through that whole process is like, let more people in like me. I'll make the country a lot of money. I will pay my taxes, but I don't bring my elderly. Okay. And then that way I fund all the development. And I say I as in any foreign direct investment, right? We bring, or we should bring the positive to the economy without bringing the elderly challenge. Right? Because I'm not going to bring my parents, and they're not going to retire and age out there, right? So in a way, we're providing kind of like an elderly free cash flow. Like you don't have to build the city forever because we're going to leave. Once that population kind of comes off, then then the visas get tighter and then we can go away, and then you can have a much more sustainable population. And I think that's actually what Singapore really needs to have is a great place to learn. It's like, what does it mean to be sustainable from a population size as well? Like, is 4.5 million the number? Is it 10? Like, because there's a carrying capacity of the island that is clear, like you import 98% of your food. Until 10 years ago, you imported 100% of your water. Like, you know, you're very water or very resource insecure. So does that make you sustainable? Just because you have a great water supply. Like, I think there's a lot to learn from Singapore, but I think that Singapore also, in a way, does have a lot to learn from China, like, because China has its own scalability. If I was looking at anything, honestly, in sustainability when it came to what Singapore could learn from China, though, it would be how to scale the technologies, the products, the services, the process, because a lot of innovation in Singapore tends to kind of struggle to get out of Singapore. Okay. It doesn't get to Malaysia, it doesn't get to Thailand.
Is it because our market is just too small compared to China's market? Or is it the nature of China's market?
So it's probably both, but I think it's also the nature of the entrepreneurs as well. Like they haven't been forced, and of course this is a huge broad stroke, so I'm sure that there are great examples like Grab, right? Like they've gotten off the island, they've gone into Indonesia and Thailand, other places. And I think it's certainly getting better actually with the millennial entrepreneurs who are far more ambitious. Now, of course, they have their own capacity to execute, but they're far more ambitious and they want to do like Asia, ASEAN, they want to do something that's much bigger, and they're more tech, which tends to be more scalable. But I also think that the Chinese work ethic is in a way, it's at its own level, and there's very few other countries or populations that I have seen that has the level of intensity of work ethic in China. The poverty, the background, the history of China, the people do not want to return to. That really provides fuel. And I think that this is something that maybe the baby boomers of Singapore, Gen Xers of Singapore, and millennials of Singapore, they don't have that to be so like they know those times. They've heard stories of, say, World War II and like during those times, but they didn't, like, you never lived that. You've only lived the glory years of Singapore.
That's true.
And that kind of creates its own different culture. It's not good or bad, it's just different.
Okay.
But if you want to take the average Singaporean and drop them into China, they would really struggle to keep up, because they don't have that constant need to push through. They've got their, they've got some comfort somewhere.
So is there any suggestions you can give to fellow Singaporeans like me to build a better work ethic?
Just do it. Actually, she's done a pretty okay job. I mean, like a 5 out of 10 for your average NUS student.
5 out of 10, wow.
Look, we've had a lot of fun, so I'm kidding her. So, knowing you for now 11 months, what advice would I give to you to be a better Singaporean?
Yes.
I guess
to be a better Singaporean.
be a better person, right? Because she's awful. No, just kidding. So, I guess the advice that I have to the average young Singaporean would be no different than I'd give to probably the average other nationality. And I'm not going to say follow your heart and the money will be there. That's not always true. Sometimes it works out. You have to have a work ethic to execute on your passion. Don't go work for an organization or in an industry or whatever that you hate, where you literally I do not want to be here. I'm not interested in the product. Mm-hmm. I'm not challenged by the process. The people around me are not who I feed off of to kind of grow. Surround yourself with great people that you grow through, grow with. Work on challenges that are exciting for you, and then work on the mediums from there. It could be a technology medium, it could be a service medium, it could be a glass, it could be product, service, technology, whatever it would be. And then I think actually if you work really hard at that then you have the potential to find success. Now you will have to define success. And I think this is a generational thing that we really, I don't know where it's gonna go. My generation, I think your generation as well, definitely wrapped up more in the bling bling, Instagram, this is what looks successful. Material success, but also the perception of material success. How many people do you look at their social media and go, oh, I wish I was blah. But they may have saved all their money, taken it out of the bank, thrown it on the bed, and taken a picture with it, right? So that may not make them rich. It's just kind of the perception of success. And I think as I grow older, I grow less interested in the perception of success from an externally viewable measurement of any kind. I really look at the organizations that I've built, the teams that I've built and work with, the impact that I'm having on a day-to-day, right? I look at that as my measurement, my yardstick of success. And so I think if I was going to give you any advice, it would probably be work really hard, do things you love, and have a measurement of success that works for you, regardless of whether other people recognize it.
How does Trump leaving the Paris Agreement affect Singapore and the Southeast Asian countries?
That's a bit too specific. I honestly don't know. Okay,
does it even affect us?
So here's what an American activist side of me thinks. But here's what the entrepreneur thinks.
Okay.
Look, Trump is going to be Trump, no matter what. And the reality is, I don't think at our level, at the individual level, that his impact should be something that we worry about. The change to a populist movement and all that is coming, I think that all that means is that we need to start looking at maybe 3, 5, 10 years out and what the potentialities will be. And they go, and I'm going to make this bet, not because of Trump, but because of a trend that we see. And if you look at a Trump or a Brexit or Modi or the new mayor in Jakarta or Xi Jinping. And if you don't see any change at all, it's basically, it just helps you to understand which way you should go. But the last thing you should do is worry about it. You shouldn't worry about what Trump's going to do. Like, the reality is, whether Trump is president or been Clinton, the earth is going to continue to heat up if you believe in climate change. So what you should do is looking at like 40 years out and going, where should I buy my beachfront property, right? Because it's going to be changing. Or, you know, if I want to save the polar bears, him being president should only kind of catalyze you to think faster, do more, be more open to collaborations, to just get more shit done. It shouldn't be something where you're like, oh, the world's going to hell because Trump is president. Like, and I think this is where a lot of people, again, get distracted. So maybe it's not envy that is the distraction here. It's more politics, things you can't control, things you worry about, like a terrorist attack. It's kind of the same thing. Like, I'm not saying you don't consider it. I'm not saying you don't mourn it. I'm not saying you don't, you know, kind of reflect on it. But don't let it completely change your frame of mind. Like, if you really have a clear idea where you want to go, the challenge that you're worried about, and who you're working with, then this becomes secondary.
Oh,
I mean, if he creates a tariff that just, or he writes a law like, we will no longer work with Singaporeans, okay, that might hurt you. But him pulling out of Paris, it doesn't hurt you, that I see. If anything, it helps Asia. Like, I really view Trump going the way he's going, and the administration going the way he's going, and the country going the way it's going, as just one more kind of, I'm so glad I'm in Asia, one more reason why I'm so glad I'm in Asia. Because Asia is actually where urbanization, where everything that I'm really interested in, challenged by, the people I want to be challenged to work with, it's already here, and now there's going to be more focus, more money, more everything to actually get things done. So I think it's a great time. And actually, I think going back to Singapore, the reality for me is Singapore has always been an interesting place for 25 years. It has all the basic ingredients you need to achieve amazing things. The question is if the mindset will be there. Now, if Trump leaving Paris allows there to be an opportunity for a mindset shift in Singapore to happen, then you grab onto that, or you lead it one way or the other, and you run with it. Or you go back to watching Lost.